Hello Nigerians, it's a pleasant night through and through. Weather is cool, at least here in Abuja, with an evening shower. Hearts are glowing with pride as Nigeria advances to the AFCON semi-finals in Egypt. And News Extra is truly extra tonight, and I am raring to go. Now, of course, we'll start with AFCON and be done with sports. And then we go into agri-based development stories. We will touch the judiciary, navigate to the National Assembly, and then tell you what 4 bank officials were doing in a courtroom on a day they should be in a banking hall. We have business stories and much more. I'm sure you won't regret keeping late with me even at this late hour. So let's get the show on the road. I am Fatima Umar Buba, and this is News Extra. Now, in a pulsating quarter-final match against South Africa, the Super Eagles beat the Bafana of South Africa 2-1 to proceed to the semi-finals. The Super Eagles will now face Senegal in the semi-finals. And moving on, 187 new cadets on direct short service course 28 at the Military Training Center Kaduna have been commissioned into the Nigerian Air Force. At the passing out parade and the commissioning ceremony, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo urged the flying officers to utilize the experience acquired during the 24 weeks intensive training to have positive impact in bringing an end to the security issues affecting the country. The government, on its part, he says, will continue to take all necessary measures to tackle all forms of criminalities across the country and to safeguard lives and property of all Nigerians.
All of those who are preaching narratives of division, especially along ethnic and religious lines, we must resist all who try to destroy our present gains and in particular our future. The future of our country is bright. All we need to do is to keep focused, not to allow any to preach any divisions among us.
As the Nigerian Armed Forces successfully degraded insurgency in the Northeast, the Vice President implores the Armed Forces to be open to innovative ideas to enhance their operations.
As the President has said, security is a 24-hour occupation involving continuous investments in strategy and innovation.
It was a joyous moment for the families of the graduates as they unveiled their new ranks of flying officers. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Gachiku, NTA News.
Congratulations to the cadets. You know, food is not just a basic need of life. It is also a necessity need to sustain life. So achieving food sufficiency provides an atmosphere of calmness, development and economic rejuvenation. That is why the federal government prioritizes agriculture with heavy budgetary allocation to achieve food security. Although the 2018 flood disaster almost dashed this dream of achieving food sufficiency in the country, as more than 200,000 hectares of farmlands were washed away in 14 states. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu examines the injection of 33 billion naira by the federal government as compensation to farmers affected by floods and farmers' herders' crisis to cover for the losses.
244,892.56 hectares of farmlands were washed away by the 2018 flood, and the disaster affected 232,989 farmers in 14 states, and out of which Jigawa State has the highest number of farmers of about 73,000 in 19 out of the 27 local government areas of the state. These threats to federal government agenda on food security prompted the government to approve 33 billion naira as compensation, with 10 billion naira to victims of herders farmers crisis in 7 states and 23 billion naira to victims of flood in 14 states. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, verified the affected farmers across the country to hear out the distribution. Agrochemicals, improved seeds and fertilizers were presented to the affected farmers.
So we are very much appreciating the effort of the government.
Me, I am a farmer.
So I'm very happy.
We thank the government for this gesture.
Jigawa happens to be one of the most affected states in terms of the flood disaster. And this committee is actually on ground to enumerate and verify the list of the farmers that were sent by the state government and provide this distribution.
Owner of one affected hectare of farmland is entitled to 9 bags of fertilizer and other agricultural inputs. From Ringim in Jigawa State, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
And there's this saying that if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. NIMET has given its annual rainfall projections, which clearly shows flood-prone areas. It is the reality of the predictions that drove Rita Mbago to NEMA, as well as the State Ministry of Environment, to ascertain the level of their preparedness concerning the envisaged flood, especially in the vulnerability communities.
Residents close to this Ngore River are vulnerable to threat of flooding. As prediction of flooding looms, residents live with fear of the unknown. Relevant government agencies say they have visited about 10 locations in the state where flood-prone communities are sited. The areas include Ohajebema, Uguta, Ezos, Osobode, among others. These areas suffer huge loss of property and farm produce anytime flood occurs.
Ohajebema and Uguta lives at that flood plain. So when there is any rise as a result of the river coming from the north, it will increase the risk in flood-prone communities along these two local governments.
They went further to enumerate how they have involved Ministry of Water Resources for potable water and Ministry of Health.
We have done little public enlightenment to the vulnerable communities for them to be aware that there will be flooding this year. And for those of them that are living close to the riverbank, to move to higher grounds.
They called on government at all levels to show genuine concern when disaster occurs in Imo State. In Owerri, Rita Mbago, NTA News.
And Algeria is said to rank highest in the production of citrus fruits in the African continent. The federal government is therefore training youths in citrus fruit production to enhance their self-reliance. Lukman Hassan reports that 80 youths from across the country are benefiting from the training at the National Horticultural Research Institute, Ibadan.
With an annual production of 3,325,958 metric tons of citrus, Nigeria is said to remain highest in citrus production in Africa and 9th in the world.
Citrus contains a lot of vitamins, which is of immense benefit to the body, and it is also used in the production of drugs.
The federal government training of youth on its nursery production is therefore significant for future development of the commodity value chain.
So if you want to diversify, you have to make an enabling environment ready for the diversification.
The economic value of citrus is very enormous.
When you have the skill, the right skill to do a particular thing, you can actually put what you learn into practice.
It is the belief of the government that if the youth utilize what they have learned during the training, it will not only create employment for the teeming youth, but also boost the nation's revenue. The youth trained on the plantation of citrus expressed their view.
The participants concentrate with utmost attention. They will learn a lot.
A great opportunity from the federal government.
Coming to this program, I want to believe that I should be able to diversify, look for other things to do.
A mechanism to monitor the progress of the youth and the practice of what they have learned has been put in place. In Ibadan, Lukman Hassan, NTA News.
There is no place like home. That's the saying, and I know you agree with it. So it's heartwarming to know that arrangements have been concluded for the voluntary repatriation of 4,000 Nigerian refugees who earlier fled the country to neighboring Cameroon Republic as a result of insurgency and other security challenges in their various localities. This repatriation drive was reached at a meeting of the Technical Working Group for the implementation of the tripartite agreement on the repatriation held in Yola. Yusuf Jika tells us about this good development.
The meeting, which brought together representatives of Nigerian and Cameroonian authorities as well as United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, is to brainstorm on how to successfully achieve the voluntary repatriation of Nigerian refugees from Cameroon Republic who fled the country due to insurgency and other civil unrest in their communities. The meeting also assessed the readiness of the parties for the voluntary repatriation and to review the technicalities involved in the whole process. Among other resolutions reached at the meeting are operational modalities and support measures to ensure the safe, dignified and sustainable reintegration of the returnees, as well as work within the framework of the tripartite agreement.
We're going to support them with shelter kits. We're going to support them with empowerment in different skills. We're going to provide them food for a period of 6 months.
Making sure that conditions such as health and education and reintegration can actually be in place.
Everything has been put in place. We just need to inform hierarchy and all will be okay.
The technical group further recognized the efforts done by the government of Nigeria in restoring security and basic social services and recommended for the reintegration measures that will improve absorption capacity and enhance access to basic services and self-reliance for the returnees. The group earlier inspected Yola Airport reception, where the returnees can go through proper checkup and screening, as well as transit camp and access the facilities on ground. At the end of it all, Wednesday, 21st of August 2019 has been fixed for the commencement of the repatriation. In Yola, I am Yusuf Jika, NTN News.
Well, that's sure good news, Yusuf. Now, those who travel the Kefi Akwanga Lafia Makurdi road, you know the dualization work is fast coming up. But that's not the only goodie that is ongoing. The people of the two states, that is, Nasarawa and Benue, are also counting their blessings on the near completion of Nasarawa Local Road and the Local Uweto Bridge, anticipated to secure the economic development of the axis and beyond while reducing travel time. Hamza Musa Makarfi has an update.
The dream by the people for a project like this is for unity, progress and prosperity, and government is living up to the expectations. It is still work in progress with noticeable impact. The contractors are firing on all cylinders, even though the one for the 74 kilometers road between Nasarawa and Loko needs to do more. Controller of Works, Nasarawa State Wasiu Tayo, says ensuring that all contractual obligations are implemented is key to success on the project and final completion.
The Sukuk program that the federal government, this present regime started, has really helped. Some of the money being owed has been paid because of the operation. I think about 4 billion was apported to them.
The federal government has other road projects with work progressing across routes of Kefi, Akwanga, Alafia to Makodi.
It's an infrastructure-driven government. Everybody knows that. And if you have a government that is committed to providing infrastructure, I think we also have to do our own contribution.
And also to thank him sincerely for the approval they had given for the construction of that road. And then the construction of the expressway from Kefi all the way to Makodi.
The implementation of Wamba Okos in Plateau State may need rejigging to actualize it. Elafia, Hamza Musa Magarpi, NTA News.
Senate condemns the killing of a Nigerian woman in South Africa and calls on the South African government to investigate the incident.
To the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa invites all secretaries to state governments, permanent secretaries, heads of cabinet affairs offices in the southeast geopolitical zone consisting of Enugu, Ebonyi, Anambra, Imo, and Abia to the second in the series of the regional meeting held for secretaries to state governments and heads, permanent secretaries of cabinet affairs offices, which is a follow-up meeting on the outcome of the maiden meeting held in the second quarter of 2019 in Abuja for secretaries to the state governments, permanent secretaries, heads of cabinet affairs offices. The meeting is designed to, among other things, develop a synergy between the cabinet affairs offices at the federal and state levels in order to develop a framework for a community practice. Follow-up meeting is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Thursday, July 11, 2019. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Golden Tulip, Agulu Lake Hotel, Orca, Anambra State. Announcer, Babatunde Lawal, Permanent Secretary, Cabinet Affairs Office, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
The FCT administration wished to inform all owners of abandoned buildings to commence the process of revalidation and development of the plot within 60 days. The buildings must be subjected to the conduct of integrity test before recommencement of development and must be completed in line with the terms and conditions of the grant of certificate of occupancy and conveyance of building plan. All building projects abandoned for at least 3 years must not be occupied whatsoever by anybody. Failure to comply with the above directive within 60 days of this publication will attract appropriate sanctions, which shall include revocation of title and prosecution. Abuja Metropolitan Management Council for FCT Administration, announcer.
Nigeria will be commemorating the 3rd African Anti-Corruption Day on Thursday, July 11, 2019, with the theme Towards a Common African Position on Asset Recovery. As part of the commemoration activities, EFCC will be hosting a public education and sensitization road walk, as well as a roundtable discussion on asset recovery and return. You are hereby invited to participate in the walk towards asset recovery and return and roundtable discussion. We encourage you to grace the event with the officers of your organization. The road walk will commence at 7 a.m. from the EFCC Abuja Zonal Office, number 5 Formella Street, Wuse 2, Abuja, opposite Rockview Hotel, and will terminate at Musa Yaradua Center, where the roundtable conversation will take place. For further inquiries, please contact Martha on 08062333939 and Samin on 08027250230.
Our country is filled with people with different skills. And like the game football, we all have a position to play. Some are in charge of protection. They keep the line safe from attackers. They are the defenders. To win, we must come together as one team. We must play as Nigeria United.
What is it that transforms the economies of the world? More than a nation's natural resources, it is about the quality of its people. The UAE has largely transitioned from an oil-driven economy into one that is knowledge-based. And by developing their human capital, others who have little or no natural resources have become global leaders in technology and innovation. We can also do the same. Combining modern skills with entrepreneurship development will give rise to enterprises which can increase the demand and capacity for skilled labor. Our mission at the Industrial Training Fund is to provide the knowledge and skills that can meet this demand, in recognition that this combination is the global currency of the 21st century economies. And so for us, this is what it's all about.
Good to have you back on News Extra. The continuation of the pre-hearing of the People's Democratic Movement of the Presidential Election Petitions Court has been stalled during the resumed hearing this Wednesday. The development is due to a motion on notice signifying the withdrawal of the party from the case. Dele Atumbi reports.
At the last sitting of the Presidential Election Petitions Court on the pre-hearing of the petition of the People's Democratic Movement and its candidate Amici Abu on June 27, 2019, the court adjourned the matter to Wednesday, July 10, 2019 for further hearing. However, on Tuesday, July 9, 2019, counsel to the party, Maurice Onuno, acting on the directive of its chairman, Frank Igbodike, filed an application notifying the court of the intention of the party to withdraw from the petition. This necessitated the filing of counter affidavit and reply on the point of law from the counsel to the candidate of the party, Aliu Lemu. Why the counsel to President Muhammadu Buhari, Wole Olanipekun, SAN, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN for the APC, and Usman Ustaz, SAN for INEC, all respondents in this matter, were ready for the hearing of the application. Counsel to the party who brought the application, Morrison Onuno, pleaded with the court for time to file his counter affidavit and reply on the point of law. The five-man presidential election petitions court led by Justice Mohamed Gaba, which will have given its hearing report this Wednesday and proceeded to the hearing of the substantive matter in the petition, has to adjourn the matter to July 18, 2019 for the argument of the application. The party and its candidate before now were pleading with the court for the nullification of the presidential election conducted on February 23, 2019 due to the purported exclusion of the party's logo in the ballot paper.
Party cannot withdraw from the hearing of the petition midway. Even if they are not interested anymore, they remain necessary parties and will remain till the petition is fully determined.
The party in its wisdom reviewed the entirety of the petition and resolved and took the decision to withdraw as a petitioner. It doesn't fetch the petition or the first petitioner. He can go on with his petition. What the party is saying is that they're more interested in the petition because it is the interest of the party and of the nation to withdraw as a petitioner.
Also this Wednesday, the petition of the Hope Democratic Party and its candidate Ambrose Uhuru came up for hearing. The petitioners, through their counsel Chukwu Njoku, came up with an application. Counsel to President Muhammadu Buhari, Wole Olanipekun, SAN, opposed the application, describing it as an abuse of court process. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, counsel to the APC, raised the issue of the petitioners filing their reply on the point of law out of time. Rely on the decisions in Ekechukwu against INEC and Umishori versus Aregbesola, Fagbemi, SAN, and counsel to the other respondents urged the court to dismiss the application. The court reserved ruling on the matter to a later date. The Presidential Election Petitions Court adjourned further hearing on the Hope Democratic Party's petition to July 18, 2019. Meanwhile, the court will this Thursday continue hearing of the petition of the PDP and its candidate Atiku Abubakar. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Judicial Council, NJC, has recommended to President Muhammadu Buhari the appointment of Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. The council also recommended the appointments of 8 others as head of court. The decision was taken at the National Judicial Council emergency meeting this Wednesday in Abuja. The meeting, which was initially presided over by Justice Umar Abdullahi, considered and approved the recommendation of its interview committee that screened the 2 candidates presented by the Federal Judicial Service Commission to it for appointment as Chief Justice of Nigeria. Subsequently, the plenary of the meeting, presided over by the Acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad, recommended to the governors of Sokoto, Lagos, Anambra, Ebonyi, Niger, Taraba, Kano, and Jigawa states 8 successful candidates for appointment as chief judges and grand cadis for the states. The newly appointed heads of court will be sworn in after the approval of the president and their respective state governors and confirmation by the Senate and State House of Assembly, as the case may be. The council urged state governments to ensure the implementation of the autonomy of the judiciary at the state level. And moving on, the federal government has condemned in very strong terms the unfortunate murder of Mrs. Elizabeth Ndubisi-Chukwu in South Africa. Chairman Nigerians and Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, called on South African authorities to rise up to their responsibilities and ensure those that are behind the dastardly act are brought to book. The NITCOM chairman said she is very confident of the determination of the Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria and the Consulate General in Johannesburg to resolve the situation. She extended her condolences to the family of the deceased on behalf of the government and the good people of Nigeria. Mrs. Ndubuisi Chukwu was a Deputy Director General of Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. She was in South Africa to attend the conference of the African Insurance Organization. And it is definitely one kill too many, and the outcry resonating. From the National Assembly, Senate has condemned the killing of Elizabeth Chukwu in a hotel in South Africa, called on the South African government to investigate the incident. Ignatius Nkwot reports that some senators even called for Nigeria to suspend its bilateral relations with South Africa.
It was the second plenary of the week, and the Senate considered a handful of motions. Prominent among them is the motion by Minority Leader of the Senate, Enyinaya Baribe, which condemned the killing of a Nigerian woman, Elizabeth Chukwu, in South Africa. It commended the federal government of Nigeria for responding swiftly to the incident and urged the government to issue travel alert to Nigerians traveling to South Africa.
Following the autopsy report released on June 20, 2019 by the South African Department of Home Affairs, which indicated in a death certificate that the death was unnatural and suspected to be murder.
Distinguished Senate, to please set a high-powered delegation to invite, or committee to invite South Africans ambassador to this country and explain why.
We were there for them when they needed us most. So I don't think when things are good for them now, we should be seen as enemies.
To call on the federal government to redefine our foreign policy so that Nigeria could now understand that we have to believe in Nigeria. We have to stay in Nigeria and work for Nigeria.
We have taken enough of this and we are not going to take it anymore. I believe that as a country, the executive arm of government has also protested.
Senator Ifeanyi Ubah's motion on the need for federal government to protect indigenous airlines from extinction.
To summon the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Transport, the Director General of Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the Managing Director of FAN, to explain to the Senate why foreign airlines are allowed to fly multiple routes within Nigeria.
We owe our people a duty to support any idea, any move that will promote and improve employment opportunities in this country.
We urge all our domestic airlines be given the same slots at the international destination, the same slot that we give their own airline.
Need to address cases of kidnapping and killings in some villages in Sokoto East, Shiroro, Munya, and Rafi local government areas of Niger State, moved by Senator Ibrahim Gobir and Senator Mohammed Musa Sani, were adopted.
The federal government to send the relief materials to these villages affected by this disaster and to those people who fled to the neighboring Republic of Niger.
To call on the federal government to establish a military base in Shiroro to restore confidence in the security and safety of the affected communities.
May the gentle souls of our departed compatriots rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Senate is to liaise with the House of Representatives in addressing the crisis at the Edo State House of Assembly. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, met with revenue-generating agencies as part of measures to ensure enhanced revenue for the nation, during which the Federal Inland Revenue Services presented a revenue generation of 2.4 trillion naira between January and June 2019, while the Nigerian Customs Service generated 650.3 billion naira within the same period. They promised improvement before the end of the year.
We're also interested in knowing how or why transfers sometimes happen late.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, also received a delegation from the Argongo Emirate Council, during which he assured them that Nigeria will continuously remain unified and progressive. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwot, NTN News.
Lawmaking and oversight functions of members of the National Assembly will be inadequate in effort and efficiency without the collaborative working relationship of civil servants who work daily to ensure that every sector of the country is accommodated by the legislative arm of government. With the leadership of the 9th Assembly constituted, the bureaucrats paid a visit to the principal officers of the Senate to acquaint them with the running of the legislature in and out of the chambers. Omotala Omojala was there.
They are called the engine room of the National Assembly, the backbone if you like, and their jobs and performance are meticulous and critical to the success of every assembly. From organizing the daily agenda of both chambers of the legislature to committee workings on motions and bills, they function for the success of the various offices of the members of the National Assembly, and the relationship must be collaborative from each end. Led by the Clerk of the National Assembly, Sani Amolori, the bureaucrats met with the leadership of the National Assembly and assured of their unwavering support as they continue in their job of nation building.
A number of us has risen through the ranks within the system of the Assembly to come to where we are. What it is therefore is that we are able and ready to do what we need to do. This is the assurance that we want to give today.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, spoke extensively on different issues that affect the running of the National Assembly and called for support that ensures the stability of the Senate.
Nigerians did not make any mistake by voting for us, but we have to justify their votes. So help us, please. Create the environment and sustain the environment that will help this leadership to lead the Senate so well and have a stable Senate.
The Senate President also emphasized on the need for digitization of the National Assembly and improved security measures that prevent unsavory occurrences. From the National Assembly, Omotola Omojala, NTA News.
And following Tuesday's invasion of the National Assembly by the Shiites group, the House of Representatives at Wednesday's plenary resolved to ensure adequate security measures are put in place for the safety of personnel and property at the National Assembly. Kenneth Nanim has details on this and other resolutions of the House at the day's plenary.
Tuesday's invasion of the National Assembly by the Shiites group prompted the motion of urgent public importance by House Minority Leader Ndoje Lumelu. The House urged the federal government to engage the group to amicably resolve whatever is their grievances, as well as find a way to compensate security personnel and others who are victims of the incident.
The House further resolved to ascertain if the sergeant at arms and the officers of the police force are insured under the group personal accident scheme and workmen compensation, and if not, direct Committee on Police Affairs and Committee on Internal Security, when constituted, to incorporate it in their national budget and ensure implementation of same.
Those in support, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.
Representative Mark Bila from Benue State on the incident of fuel tank explosion at Ubia East local government area of Benue State, of which several lives were lost, pointed to the condition of Makurudi Alede Road, which connects the state to the southern and northern parts of the country, as reason for the mishap.
While the contract for the rehabilitation of the Makudi Naka Adoka Ankpa Road has been awarded, even though there is no sufficient provision in the 2019 budget for work to commence, no progress has been made on the rehabilitation of the Makudi Alede Otuko 9th Mile Road where the accident occurred.
After several amendments on the need to address the perennial gridlock on the Papa area of Lagos State, and that to address the deplorable condition of Lagos-Badagry Trans-West African Coastal Highway, especially on the award of contracts, the motions were adopted. Incorporation of June 12 into the history curriculum of schools in Nigeria by Representative Olumide Babatunde Oshoba from Ogun State was also adopted by the House after several amendments.
The President has very courageously recognized June 12 as Democracy Day,
And we have a lot of unsung heroes of June 12. And I expect our younger generations to know the importance of that Democracy Day.
It should always remain indelible in the memory of Nigerians by institutionalizing it to be part and parcel of our history books.
The House at Wednesday's plenary also resolved to set up an ad hoc committee that will investigate as well as monitor the way and manner in which government ministries, departments and agencies recruit their employees. This followed a motion brought before it by Representative Yusuf Adamu Gagdi from Plateau State alleging irregularities in the process. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Thank you, Kenneth. Now, what could 5 officials of a new generation bank be doing in a courtroom on a day they are supposed to be in a banking hall? Answering charges of fraud and theft? Well, this is the question that the FCT High Court in Maitama is seeking answers to, as Olabode Arewa tells us.
The 5 persons, namely Blessing Oyelowo, Justina Okemeka, Adeni Adenio, Uchechukwu Abanta Njoku, and Oluwemi Dada, were arraigned in court along with the bank. The police prosecutor, Patrick Ogele, told the court that the accused persons allegedly procured a fake bank guarantee letter valued at 86 million naira, with which they collected 6 luxury vehicles from Triple C Motors Limited in Kano. The police added that the accused used a local purchase order and converted the cars to personal use, an offense contrary to Section 363 of the Penal Code. The prosecution tendered 13 exhibits to support the charge. The accused persons pleaded not guilty to the charge, while their counsel, Wilson Ivara, pleaded for their bail. The court granted them bail in the sum of 86 million naira each and 2 sureties, who must own landed property worth 86 million naira within Abuja. Meanwhile, they are to remain in Suleja prison custody until they meet the bail conditions. The case has been adjourned to the 17th of November 2019 for continuation. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Intelligence Rescue Team of the Inspector General of Police has recovered hundreds of cows from suspected cattle rustlers in Kaduna. Hamman Jabani reports.
Cattle rustling is one of the major security challenges bedeviling the north, robbing many of their legitimate source of livelihood. This prompted the Inspector General of Police to constitute intelligence team to tackle the challenge and other forms of criminalities. The recovery of hundreds of cattle in Kangimi, Igabi local government area of Kaduna State by the IGP's intelligence response team marks another breakthrough in the team's anti-crime operations. NTA News gathered that these cattle were recovered after a 5-day operation in Kangimi Forest.
It is a good thing that the present IG is trying to bring to, even if not to a complete end, at least to reduce the level of atrocities.
Most of them are living in our midst, and if we know where they are hiding, we can easily identify them and report them to the government.
Some suspected cattle rustlers were said to be arrested during the operation. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
What are the implications of tank farms to the environment? This is a 1 million naira question on the lips of Lagosians after the recent pipeline explosion in Ijegun. News Extra continues after the break. Welcome back. Borno State Government and a Development Partners Group are streamlining humanitarian response and commitment for successful interventions. Mohammed Goni reports that the UN, European Union, other bilateral and multilateral agencies were all represented.
The meeting between the Borno State Government, led by the State Governor, Professor Babagana Umar, and the Development Partners Group, held behind closed doors, discussed, among other issues, the promotion of effective development dialogue. The meeting also tables the need to strengthen the existing strategies, which all donor and humanitarian partners will key into. The move is meant to avoid duplication in service delivery, while partners work in line with their mandates, with Borno State Government taking the lead.
We want to have a very strong institutional mechanism on ground to coordinate all the activities of development partners and humanitarian partners in Borno State.
By implication, is what the NLP is doing. We're just trying to streamline this towards Borno State alone for today.
What we aim to do is to see how we can partner and coordinate for effective usage of resources.
The state government was appreciative of the humanitarian efforts of development partners over the years and look forward to a greater collaboration with them. Mohamed Goni, NTA News.
And when there is a fire in your neighborhood, the first thing to do is to take precautions so that you don't get hurt. The recent pipeline explosion in Ijegun has put residents of Satellite Town in Lagos on their toes. They are already asking questions on the presence of tank farms in the area and the implications. Michael Olale reports.
For over 6 years, residents of Satellite Town have lived in fear. The mere thought that over 12 tank farms are spread across their backyard has taken away their sleep and make them extra cautious. This is the bone of contention, and the trucks are the obstacle. Over 200 of them indiscriminately commute between residential buildings every day to load petroleum products. The effects are glaring. Bad roads and traffic congestion are common sights. The environment is feeling the heat of the presence of these tank farms as waste of this nature are released into non-existing water channels on a daily basis.
Houses are going down because there's a lot of stagnant water in the environment, a lot of dampness, and we also suspect a lot of pollution, and people are being affected.
While residents continue to scramble for solutions, some are profiting from their misfortune. Bunkers run a mini petroleum mart from here.
At every point, you find these boys who are siphoning naked fuel all over the place. My net on the bed is black, because it's now lead coming into the house.
This march by residents is to reiterate their position on the activities of these tank farms.
Satellite Town is a residential area. It is not meant to be defaced by any investment of whatsoever. What we need is that there should be no tank farm. We have already 12 companies operating over 50 tank farms, and there are incidents of fire outbreak in the tank farm severally.
Residents are optimistic that palliatives like construction of temporary trailer park and relocation of the bonded terminal at Alakija will end their years of sleepless nights. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
In the meantime, the Petroleum Technology Development Trust Fund has held an induction course for successful candidates of its 2019 and 2020 scholarship program. Alika Wanachi Arua reports that the scholarship is aimed at building capacities of Nigeria to address challenges in the oil and gas sector through technological innovations.
Having passed through all processes to qualify for the Petroleum Technology Development Fund Overseas PhD Scholarship, Helen Jumbo Iberi joins other successful candidates for an induction course ahead of their departure. Being physically challenged does not deter her from pursuing her dream to study renewable energy law to help improve the oil and gas sector.
I see it as, being offered an opportunity to contribute to the development of my country, Nigeria.
I want to actually go into offshore engineering, and offshore engineering that has to do with problems of waves and solitons as it affects exploration in deep water offshore.
Especially in terms of oil spillage, okay, and that oil spillage leads to the destruction of most of the structure. So I want to, my research, I believe it will help the oil and gas sector.
The Executive Secretary, Petroleum Technology Development Fund, Bello Aligoso, advises students to take their studies seriously and project good image of Nigeria during the study abroad.
First and foremost, having come this far, you have an obligation to yourself to put in your best, to make the best use of the opportunity that has been granted to you by the scholarship.
The Petroleum Technology Development Fund Overseas Scholarship Scheme has over the years succeeded in producing well-trained, competent and skilled professional manpower for the various segments of the oil and gas industry. In Abuja, Alika Opanachi, Harua, NTA News.
Some time ago on this program, we brought you a report that the National Universities Commission attributed the underdevelopment to lack of qualitative work by the country's researchers. That is again being re-echoed. This time around, the Tertiary Education Fund is saying complacency on the part of the researchers is an added problem. It has therefore constituted a committee to reverse the trend. Abdullahi Musa Salijo reports that the executive secretary of the fund, Professor Suleiman Oguru, while inaugurating the committee, looked at his fellow educationist in the eye and said, "Sit up."
Apart from facilitating physical infrastructure for teaching and learning, providing instructional materials and equipment, and academic staff training and development, the Tertiary Education Fund Act also bestows on it the mandate to fund research and publications, a content-based and top priority intervention. Over the years, however, the research sector is discovered to be underperforming, affecting the image of the researchers within and even outside the shores of Nigeria. TEDFund is now bent on reversing the trend, and this event tagged National Research Fund Screening and Monitoring Committee, which brought together former university chancellors, professors and educationists that are doing well in their field of human endeavor outside the country, is hoping to find a way out.
I look forward to when more professors will go for sabbatical to the industry rather than only fellow institutions. Check it out there. That is the only way we make it relevant, make ourselves relevant out there to society and the Nigerian people. And we will be more respected. But more importantly, we are respected when we go outside because we are deserving. But it pains me that sometimes in our own country, we're not respected enough. We must change the narrative.
This is coming at a time when the government has approved the highest ever allocation of 5 billion naira for the National Research Fund in the TEDFund 2019 intervention.
We are confident the committee will be more than challenged to deliver on its mission.
The researchers, the universities are ready to do the work.
We need more money for test funds so that it can go around the universities.
The funds are intended to catalyze cutting-edge research in 3 thematic areas of science, technology, innovation, humanities, and social science. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
A telecommunications company, MTN Nigeria, is offering customers a 30% price slash on data bundles. Management of the company rolled out the new offer at a media parley in Lagos. Paul Omukago has the details.
Giving customers value for their money is a major reason why MTN has over the years consistently improved on its services and products. Recognizing data as the new oil that stimulates socio-economic growth, the price slash is not only to improve data usage, but to link Nigerians to the internet irrespective of their geographical location. MTN says it has also upgraded its facilities for a seamless access and migration to the 4th generation of telecommunications technology, also known as 4G+. 4G+ enables very high speed and can accommodate as many users. It also provides customers opportunity of video streaming and super fast downloads.
We would request you all to come online, buy our products at *131# and experience firsthand about the new quality and the new experience which you're going to get with this extra volumes which we are giving, or at a lower price point. So every Nigerian, every user of ours can come online anytime, any day, and experience the quality and the value for themselves.
If you are not certain if your phone is a 4G phone, if you have a 4G SIM, is to text the word 4G to the number 131. The message you will get will let you know if your SIM card is a 4G SIM and if your phone is a 4G phone. If it turns out that your SIM card is not a 4G SIM, go to any of the MTN offices, any of the service centers, and get an upgrade of your SIM free of charge.
We have a very sophisticated backend system that monitors the traffic on all our routes, and as I see that the traffic is growing, even before it gets to congestion levels, we're already going in there to do the upgrade, and that's what we'll continue to do.
MTN has reiterated its goal of ensuring improved data usage among Nigerians. In Lagos, Paulo Mukago, NTN News.
And the outlook of the African women needs to take a positive turn towards changing the narrative in the advocacy for women participation in governance, economic development and gender cooperation, in line with the Sustainable Development Goal number 5. And to achieve this, it is imperative that women movement come together to safeguard the rights of women and girls. That is what African Women Leadership Network seeks to achieve. Basi Taikbang tells us about the vision and mission of the network in Nigeria.
Women to take their rightful place in the society, some barriers must be removed and some bridges restored. This gave birth to the African Women Leadership Network in 2017 with the support of the African Union Commission and the United Nations to enhance the leadership of African women in the transformation of the continent with the African Agenda 2063. The network in Nigeria will support women leaders to boost women's contribution to nation building, sustain peace, and economic social transformation.
Mentorship is key, and then also solidarity and being able to link up with networks in other countries.
And today we are beginning that step of reaching out to networks, knowing fully well that this is not work for any particular group in it alone, but work that must be done in collaboration and partnership.
That women will be more visible, respected, and heard through this platform.
Nigeria First Lady Aisha Buhari encouraged Nigerian women to be resolute in taking their rightful position in the society.
We believe that if in this present dispensation of the second term, Nigerian women are brought on board to be major stakeholders.
The forum acknowledged that there is no limit to what women can achieve when they work in unity. It is also committed to holding leaders accountable and being accountable to women and girls in Africa. Basi Taipa, NTA News.
You're watching News Extra on the network service of the NTA. Up next, launch of Nigeria-Ghana Friendship Club. What is the binding force between these two countries, if one may ask? Find out after the break. Thanks for being there. Compliance with rules and regulations, integrity, professionalism, and ethical conduct are some of the indicators listed by civil servants needed to achieve the EPIC civil service. This was contained in a culture diagnostic survey report launched for the civil service in Abuja. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
The development of an efficient, productive, incorruptible and citizen-centered cultural transformation of the civil service is the priority of the Federal Civil Service 2017-2020 Strategy and Implementation Plan. Towards ensuring a sense of belonging, the project management team requested inputs from civil servants who are at the center of government activities.
Training and retraining is also an important motivating factor to civil servants.
Most of the take-home pays, some cannot take us home.
A lot of times where civil servants cannot give in their very best, and it is because of the rules surrounding the civil service. The bureaucracy is too much.
Condition of civil servants today in Nigeria.
The view of these civil servants represents some of the inputs, especially in the area of condition of service. It is in a bid to meet these requests and suggestions from about 6,000 respondents across all ministries, departments and agencies that the 447-page culture diagnostic survey report is launched.
We've been able to see that where we are headed in terms of the EPIC vision for the service is it aligns with what civil servants are desirous of, what they believe is the future for the service. If we can change the narrative of how the service operates.
To ensure the full implementation of the reports in all establishments, head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, made a special presentation of the compendium to all federal permanent secretaries at their meeting.
I am confident that this report will pave an epic civil service and civil servants needed to build a modern and robust economy in Nigeria.
Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
When you hear the names Ghana, Nigeria, I'm pretty sure the battle over who has the best jollof rice or the famous Ghana must go days come to mind. Or maybe for you, it's the football rivalry or other relationship issues between these two countries. Well, the National Council for Arts and Culture is thinking of things that bind the two nations rather than create unhealthy rivalries. This is the driving force for the launch of the Nigeria-Ghana Friendship Club to further strengthen cultural promotion and businesses between the two countries. Gufan Shaji reports that this was during the 2019 Accra Wizo West African Tourism and Travel Expo.
Nigeria and Ghana have recently been in the news over relationship issues between the two sister countries. However, this narrative is being changed by the National Council for Arts and Culture as it introduced the Nigeria-Ghana Friendship Club to chart a course for the unity, peace and stability of the two countries and the West African sub-region.
History is made in Accra, the home of culture, like Nigeria is to the world. On this note, I give you the special rendition of Ghana. Fefe nefe, intina oba tumrika, osene nifuya yese, ebetia tonti. Nothing can separate Nigeria and Ghana. Happiness, bye.
Long live Ghana-Nigeria relationship, and may we continue to strengthen the bilateral relationship between our two countries. May we continue to beat each other when it comes to soccer, and may we continue to teach our friends from Nigeria how to cook jollof rice.
It is believed that this friendship club would bring together Nigerians and Ghanaians of like minds to fraternize and consolidate on the already existing relationship. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
Well, I wanted to add mine about the jollof rice, but it's better for me to just zip up. Building a society that will be free from substance abuse requires early education on the risks associated with the practice from primary to secondary school level. This was one of the issues raised at the National Train the Trainers workshop on school-based track of a universal prevention curriculum in Lagos. Abolade Salami reports.
Substance abuse among youth has become a global public health concern. A report by the World Health Organization reveals that more than 2.6 million young people between the age of 10 and 24 die annually in the world from substance abuse-related causes. The desire to cut down on these growing figures prompted the gathering of advocates on drug abuse, school principals and teachers to suggest ways of building capacity of practitioners towards the implementation of evidence-based substance abuse prevention within the school premises.
It is having the capacity to be proactive in preventive measures. And what we are saying is that let us have personnel of the school system, it could be teachers or non-teaching staff, trained to be able to work within the school system.
Everyone has to do their part to convey a common message that drug abuse is unhelpful, is unhealthy, that it will lead to a poor life for those involved, whether they be young people or whether they be older people. That for Nigeria to succeed and develop, it must curb this problem, it must eliminate this problem.
The initiative, which is targeted at curbing the menace of drug abuse among youths and adolescents, is also to encourage the existence of counselors in primary and secondary schools.
But this is now coming down to the school level, which is very commendable. And yes, because a good number of youths are involved in crime-related activities, or because of the influence of drugs, it is very important, and I think it is really a wise idea.
Beyond the school-based substance prevention, organizers say the national trainers will receive training on family-based substance prevention as well as community-based prevention. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
It's been a wet day in Abuja, the capital city. For Thursday's weather outlook, stay tuned after the break.